And we're live, and you are listening to the most unlistened to podcast on the interwebs, Kill or Be Killed podcast.
I think we lose people every week, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. I have a negative number.
That's right.
That's up there. It's a -2. People are just like, so. Okay, so George, you weren't here, but again, we're starting off.
There it is.
So we have drones over New Jersey. Have you heard about this?
No.
So they're not like little drones that do like, symbols for like, Super Bowl halftime drones. They're like the size of SUVs.
Jesus.
And I know now, Angela. So hold on, we may have technical difficulties. Okay, we're live. So, yeah, they're like the size of SUVs, and they've been flying around for like a week. We haven't seen them, even though they technically have been in our area. So we don't know, right? Now, when they're questioning the okay, well, now I've got so yeah, so I've got my wife is texting me that she can't see it. Okay, now she has it.
I was gonna say, do we need to restart? Like, we can restart.
Right. Thank you.
Nobody's watching apparently, so
thank you. You're the only one watching.
Yeah. Shout out.
Yeah. Thank you, honey. So yeah, apparently these things are going over. I mean, they're in certain areas of New Jersey. I mean, the things to keep in mind what's out there. So we have Picatinny Arsenal, which is a weapons development facility. But you also have like Trump's golf course in Bedminster. So, I mean, these things could be mapping out, the entire area. And again, like I said, they're like the size of like minivans. They're not like these small little, drones. So they could be actually, I guess, well, are they droned if they're manned? But they don't have to be, right? So, I don't know why they're calling them drones and not aircraft. How do they know they're drones? I mean, people
do we know they're manned?
We don't. They don't know anything about it. The FBI, Homeland Security, uses this tits on a bowl.
We still haven't shot one down or captured one.
No.
Maybe it's the fucking cast of the Jersey Shore making a comeback.
Right. So, well, the memes of like Chris Christie sitting on one. Like when he was on the beach out on the way back when, and there's another one with Bernie Sanders in his famous seat, like sitting. So, here's let me just share. Okay, here we go.
I'm going to tell you the real deal. Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones. That mothership is off. I'm going to tell you the deal. It's off the east coast of the United States of America. They've launched drones, is everything that we can see or hear. And again, these are from high sources. I don't say this lightly. Now, we know there was a probability it could have been our own government. We know it's not our own government because they would have let us know. It could have been some really glorified hobbyists that were doing something unbelievable. They don't have the technology. But let's pretend that's possible. The third possibility was somebody, an adversarial country, doing this. Know that Iran made a deal with China to purchase drones, motherships, and technology in order to go forward. The sources I have are good. They can't reveal who they are because they are speaking to me in confidentiality. These drones should be shot down, whether it was some crazy hobbyist that we can't imagine, or whether it is Iran, and I think it very possibly could be, they should be shot down. We are not getting the full deal, and the military is on alert with this.
Okay, so again, these are the same people that brought us yellow cake and weapons of mass destruction, right? So, that there's a mothership, which I'm assuming is another unmanned craft, right? That is off the coast of New Jersey. I'm
like an unmanned boat. then?
Yeah, right.
If we know the unmanned boat's there, why don't we just shoot it down? Why don't we just
I don't
sink
know.
it?
So there's three obvious possibilities here. One, okay, it's a foreign country, right? Two, it's ours. Three, it's alien. All right.
I was waiting for it to come up.
Right. So, this is what it had, there's no other possibilities.
Please be alien. Please be alien.
Right. Exactly. Right. Well, as soon as they started, when the White House started talking about like AEPs or whatever the hell they're calling them now, UFOs or are real, UAPs. I'm like, okay, there's bullshit involved, because now that they're admitting it, they're covering shit up. I think it's all of our shit, to be honest. Like the Tic Tacs, and it could be even holograms and crap like that, right? That are flying through the sky, some sophisticated projection stuff, because that would pass through things, that would move around, and that may not be picked up, that definitely wouldn't be picked up on radar. So there's I think this is my guess, that this is ours, right? I mean, but again, it's like trying to, for Iran to mess with us is insane. This is.
They're getting pretty bold. So,
dude, we would flatten them in a heartbeat. It's not even funny.
I'm not saying you're not wrong.
I'm saying first we send the Salvation Army over, and they'll just take care of them with blankets. You know what I mean? Come on. I'm not gonna. It is what it is, man. They're. Of course, they probably purchased the money. They probably spent the money that we gave them to buy, the drones. But what's their end game? Honestly, they don't need to fucking do this, right? They could get low-tech dudes in here with basically surveying equipment and get the information that they need.
They do already.
Already. So they don't need to do this. This is, I don't think this is a blatant, this is a blatant, if this is a foreign entity, this is kind of stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, you're flying drones all over the place. Right? Like, if they're not ours and the FAA hasn't cleared them, they should be shot down. Why aren't they being shot down?
Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm just thinking they're ours.
We don't want to start an international incident.
Right. Again, like, Iran is going to do what? Kill the president. Okay. And then what? What happens next?
Yeah. I mean, they've got nuclear capability now. So, I mean, I guess there's that.
There is, but it's still, they're not shooting it out of these drones.
No.
And of all the targets I would target, I mean, Picatinny Arsenal, okay, there's probably about 1,000 other nerve centers that I could hit. That's not one of them.
That are way more important.
Yeah, that's not a strategic command. It's a developmental facility. for what I know. But what the hell do I know? Right? It's not like there's, it's not like we're housing a lot of equipment there. And it's not like we've got, some type of massive deployment capability, or I don't know, maybe there is a nerve center up there. Who the hell knows? Right. So, but these things where it's like, I think it's either ours or, which would include someone with a pretty insane hobby. Right. But allowing a foreign entity to deploy SUV size.
This sounds really familiar. Wasn't there a giant weather balloon that traveled across our country?
Yes. yes. And we let it happen. And the last time they didn't tell Trump because they were afraid he was going to shoot it down.
Yep.
I mean, when did we get afraid of shooting down enemy spy equipment? I don't know.
There's shit that is way above our pay grade happening here. But yeah.
So if we want to go down the rabbit hole a little bit, since you got your tinfoil hat on.
Yes.
So
Yes.
have you heard of Cliff High?
Who's Cliff Hyde?
I don't know a whole lot about him, but he's like some dude who like he's like a internet analyst dude, and what he does is he takes like algorithms and plugs them into like search engines and stuff, and he can predict searches like years in advance, and based on those queries he can like basically predict what's going on in society at the time.
Okay.
So
Really?
apparently during this time frame he predicted that there's going to be a lot of discussion about aliens and drones.
Really?
Yeah.
We got to get Cliff on this call.
Right.
He's probably way too
Really?
important for us.
Really, really, really. Wow. Okay. Yeah, it makes sense.
And then
Clayton, I just say Clayton comment number 6 steel shot works for taking down drones. Yeah, I get it. Clayton, but those are little drones. These are like SUV sized drones. I think we need a little more surface to air shit.
Yeah, they're probably too high for the number 6 to hit.
For the number 6, right? You know, yeah, that's okay when they're like sneaking at you sunbathing.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah.
But yeah, and then the other thing that the other conspiracy I really like that I think is probable is they use those holographics that you were talking about, right? The big sky ones. And so apparently the government is going to fake an alien invasion with those holograms. And then inside it is going to be drones and or our own fighter pilots destroying our own infrastructure.
Wait, I've heard this before. It actually happened in New Jersey. This is how War of the Worlds started. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, holy shit. Right.
And I heard another one that they're going to use the same holographic projection technology to fake the second coming of Christ.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I watched the Tupac concert.
Are we bringing Tupac back?
We did. He's making more money now than he ever has, by the way. But yeah, I mean, why not? Right? You know, it's and
I've seen videos of like these hologram projections. Like they're insane.
Right. And maybe Jesus is supposed to come back as an AI hologram.
I'm gonna say probably not, but
I'm just saying if you wanted something that was all knowing, right? I'm like, and it was, it knew everything about everybody at once, right? I'm like, what are we talking about here, right?
Yeah.
Could probably.
It's funny. So I was reading some stuff, I think maybe it was like 2 years ago, and it was about Revelations, and I was reading some of the Revelation stuff, and as I'm reading it, I'm like, man, that sounds an awful lot like, an AI projection of, like somebody.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Like when you're reading this, 1,000 years ago, you're like, man, how's that going to happen? But now I'm like, yeah, I can see that happening.
Yeah, or an alien. Right? I'm like, or an alien. Well, I mean, I heard Tucker Carlson's take on it, on UFOs. He goes, he thinks they're demons.
Oh yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, who am I to argue? Right? I'm like, what the hell do I know? Right? What does anybody know? Yeah. It's just as good as an answer as alien.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the same fucking thing, right?
Yeah.
Until you get one and talk to it, you really don't fucking know, do you?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I don't know. I said, Clayton's like used to take him out when they used to fly over the prisons where he worked. That makes sense. Yeah, we're probably gonna, I got everything locked and loaded, and we'll take a couple shots. they come around. We ran outside before, but it was just a plane.
Bummer.
Bummer. So, yeah. So,
they don't know what these are. You should totally shoot green lasers at it.
Right. See if it has any effect.
Yeah, and then if like the police show up, then you'll know it's definitely ours.
That's right.
Right. Well, that's what they said. They're like, they're like local law enforcement is looking into it. I'm like, well, what the hell what?
Why is local law enforcement? Where's federal law enforcement?
They're in Congress telling them they don't know what the fuck is going on.
Where's the Department of Homeland Security?
Yeah, God, we don't need them. I'm like, I've never met like such a more useless organization. It's such, we have people that do that all over the place. So it's like there's nothing that really can't be handled by state government, state police, right? I mean, I understand if you need some liaison and communication between interstate, but we've got technology. I mean, it's not like it was where you got to send a guy who's, stopping at the fucking, state line when you're in a car chase.
Yeah.
I mean, those days are gone. I mean, everybody's talking to one another. You can it can be handled by a network. You can exchange information. You can look up a database and see if you're hunting down, bank robberies in the last whatever area or MOs and shit like that. You could put them all into a database. I'm sure we have, we could have, an AI algorithm that starts looking for similarities. So that's Stefano checking in. Hey man, thanks for joining us. And yeah, so you have all these top heavy agencies, and what is it? TSA is caught, Homeland Security is caught how many terrorists? Stopped how many things? Yeah, I think 0.
More than that, definitely more than that.
I don't think so. So I'm going to say, hey,
1.
how many terrorists?
I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah,
that's like how many people does the Secret Service stop from actually killing the president? Like they're never going to reveal that to you, right?
Homeland's already stopped. Has made significant progress in preventing terrorism. Doesn't say anything.
No, they're not going to give you a number.
This thing will. It's Google.
Google.
Google doesn't lie. Google tells me the truth.
ChatGPT, it might know.
Right. So, okay. So have you guys been following the Daniel Penny trial?
No.
Okay, so he's a Marine that put a guy in a chokehold on a subway who was threatening passengers.
Okay, I heard about this.
Yeah, he got acquitted. Yeah. So, yeah, really, I'm trying to see if I've got the video here.
I feel like we showed this video like a while back, didn't we?
We did. We talked about this one.
Yeah,
we did.
Like
so
like a year ago.
Yeah. So, I mean, the tragedy is, this should have never gone to fucking trial. It's, it's you have somebody who's threatening. There's just some testimony on here where, all right, here we go. I'll share it because there's some interesting testimonies from some of the passengers, which again, this should have been taken into consideration like fucking immediately. Here it is. All right. We got some talking heads on here.
Hear from new witnesses who were on the subway that day.
Fox 5's Michelle Ross was inside the courtroom today. She's live from Lower Manhattan. With
no relation.
Michelle.
Who said he had and that he nearly from that.
Okay, I'm just fast forwarding because I don't want to.
Never before seen video shot by a high school student on the F train shows a new angle of Daniel Penny holding Jordan Neely in a chokehold that May afternoon on the subway. The person who took this video is 19-year-old Yvette Rosario, currently a high school student who lives in the Bronx, but originally from the Dominican Republic. She says Neely got on the train by sticking his hand through the closing doors to hold it open. A prosecutor asked Rosario what Neely said when he got on. He said he was homeless, that he didn't have any money, and he didn't care about going back to jail. Rosario adding that his angry tone made her nervous, so nervous she wanted to pass out. You can see her right hand shaking as she takes this video. She said she was scared and put her head into her friend's chest and only lifted it once she heard the bodies hit the floor. When the train approached the next stop, she got off.
Insert Disturbed song here. Sorry.
Yes.
And then called 911. The second witness was 59-year-old Juan Alberto Vazquez, a journalist from Mexico who filmed the widely seen video of the chokehold. Jurors were shown the nearly 5-minute clip, which caused Neely's father, Zachary, to leave the courtroom.
So he's still fighting here as they're holding his hands, right? So he's not out.
Vazquez testified through a translator, and when asked by the prosecutor, he too recalled that Neely said he was, quote, thirsty, hungry, and something else I understood was that he didn't care going to jail again.
So we have that, right? And then where you've got people protesting, going nuts, right? And then we've got Luigi Mangione, who assassinated the president of U.S. healthcare, where people are like, fuck that. It's like, now the people are like, this guy's a hero for doing that. And that's a whole other, thing. I mean, well, first, Daniel Penny, I'm like, look, my opinion, this is a self-defense is you can protect yourself and protect others from harm. Looking at that stranglehold, it really wasn't like it wasn't across his throat, right? It was on his carotid. I don't know, and I don't show it how long he's passed out or how long he was out for, because when you choke somebody out, you'll know when they go limp. At that point, you should probably fucking let go. Right. So I don't know, I haven't seen that footage. We saw only up to that point, and, he was still viable. He was still fighting. So you're still hanging on. So yeah, the reality is too, what's the response time in the subway? Minutes, 10 minutes, cars moving, they've got cops on the train. But, so, yeah. And then, Clayton posts, alter ego clause allows use of force, to protect another who cannot defend themselves. 100% correct. So, if somebody's threatening it, and, we've got to, I don't know why we're not encouraging this behavior as a society. I think most people, when they see it, they don't think, it reveals something in them that makes them scared. Because there's the vast majority of people wouldn't even think about getting involved. The vast majority of people are going to stand there and just wait for this guy to either finish or leave, right? They're going to hope that he just goes away and picks someone else. This is why you don't see a lot of people, jumping in and helping out.
Yeah, bystander, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Bystander syndrome or whatever it's called.
Yep. So yeah, you melt into the crowd. And you watch this bullshit happen, and it's like you're not even there, and you're just glad it's not you, right? So here you have somebody who stands up, right? Again, he's obviously, joined the Marines, for whatever reason, but, he served his country. Now he's out, and he did a good thing. I mean, that guy was terrorizing people on the train. And now we don't see video of how he did it, only what he said. Was he getting into people's faces? Was he getting, was he getting handsy with people? How much was he on? If he's just like ranting around, it
was enough to say that, hey, this girl was scared enough that she was
shaking.
Right? Yeah.
Granted, yeah. So who knows? We don't know what her threshold is,
yeah.
but
it was more than him. It was more than him walking on the train or subway and just being like, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, and
I don't care if I go to jail.
Right. And then just standing there, right? People were just like, okay.
Yeah, right.
So obviously there was something more involved.
Yeah, agreed. So enough so this guy and other guys and other people, once he jumps in, that's the one thing. Once you make a move, that'll open the gateway to people who are kind of compelled to do something but didn't know how to fucking start or couldn't take that step. So once you do that, other people will come out, depending on, the severity of it or how bad the threat looks. Right. So Stefano commented, same here in the UK. However, any force must be necessary, proportionate and reasonable in the circumstances. Yeah, that's how lawyers get paid, Stefano. I'm like, what's, when they use, proportionate and reasonable, right? I mean, that's, get a good lawyer, because they'll be like, oh, well, he had a stick. Well, you pulled a gun. Right. But he could have been, he could have bludgeoned my head in with the stick. So what's that? Yeah, it's a very gray area for sure. Clayton wrote, from what I heard, he threatened to kill passengers several times. That was reportedly a major point of Penny's trial. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was reasonable. The only reason is because he wasn't like he was curb stomping him and beating him to a pulp. He was restraining him, and holding him on the ground.
Yeah,
right. He didn't bite him. He didn't gouge his eyes out. He didn't, once he had control of him, he hung out there, and which, believe you me, takes a certain amount of strength and stamina to hang on to somebody. As George can tell you, because he just started BJJ training.
Yep.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Good for you, dude.
And just to fucking address that really quick, like, holy shit. I wanted to get there. We're like, this guy's giving me some fucking resistance. I just wanted to fucking start biting and fucking punching right and I fucking can't. I honestly, man, it was like a defanged cobra. I'm like, holy fuck, I'm like completely useless. This fucking sucks. Like,
well, but what's cool is that you're getting in, you're getting a fucking a great workout.
Yes.
Right. It's going to get you in fucking really awesome shape. Right. It's the pulling, the twisting, the body control, all that shit. You're going to fucking get in great shape. 2, it's like, look, you can feel things coming on. You can get in position where you can be like, okay, yeah, I can bite him here. I can gouge him here. I can do this stuff there. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We got this. So, if you do get locked up with somebody that knows how to choke, it's like, well, put it this way, as we say, like if somebody gets a choke on you who knows how to choke and they got you, you're going out.
Well, and this is the thing that's really kind of interesting. I was talking to a buddy in Germany, and you're seeing a really big kind of shift in the self-defense world, where now more and more and more people are turning to, things like jiu-jitsu, wrestling, fucking MMA. So you're getting many more, let's say, trained individuals on the street who are used to this kind of thing. So I think that having some kind of understanding and comprehension and experience with it is only going to be beneficial to people mixed in with their proper self-defense training.
Right. And this is why, because you can build up a defense fairly quickly, right? The offense is always the hard part, but, knowing when, okay, you're feeling, you're getting in a position where, your throat's exposed, you can feel it, feel a choke coming in, you can feel an arm bar coming on, you can feel a leg lock happening, shit like that. You're not too much worried about getting swept, staying on top, because it's like, you're not going to, one, again, unless you're like really, really trying to get the fuck off the ground as fast as possible. Right.
Yeah.
But, that's why I always like, judo above jujitsu, because we start on the ground and you can stay on your feet.
Yep.
And it's just like, the problem is there's like finding a judo club, there's more BJJ shit around than there is judo.
Yeah.
So, then fine, go do that. Right. But just know, that just, it is what it is. Right. It's a tool. It's great for conditioning. Again, it's great for a little stress inoculation, for getting it. And you get your little competitive spirit up, when you're competing with somebody and you're not getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
You can do it a long, you could do you could do it a long time. You're on the ground a lot, which means you're not getting thrown. Most of the injuries happen when you get thrown, right? And that's where your knee gets caught in the mat, your fucking ankle gets broken, your fucking twist, you hit your shoulder, break your collarbone. Most of the times, like, you'll just remember this, dude. You can fight a choke, don't fight an arm lock or a joint lock.
Yeah.
Just give it to them as soon as they get it, because you pass out from a choke, you're fine, right?
Yeah.
You fucking hurt a joint, you're fucked, and you can't train.
Yeah,
So like
especially at our ages.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing, and it's we've talked about this on so many fucking calls when it comes to combat sports, right? And I think the nicest thing about it is the actual ability to like physically grapple with fucking people and be ragged around and get that, because unfortunately a lot of places don't fucking do that, and people aren't used to being not even just fucking struck, right? Not used to being manipulated and kind of moved around. So I think that everybody needs to, whether it's wrestling, whether it's MMA, whether it's any kind of combat sport, or even get into football or something, you need to get into something with fucking contact, or you're going to be afraid that you're going to fucking break in the real world.
Right. Exactly. Stefano, is reading from the Bible. He's like, learn to fight on the floor, but don't go to the floor to fight, and stay on your feet at all costs. You got it, brother. So yeah, exactly. I mean, knowing what it's like when you're trying to, someone's trying to smash you, or, you're trying to smash them, getting that feeling of, pain, and just that feeling somebody else's will against yours.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You go.
The other good thing about it, George, too, is by getting into it so late in the game, so to speak, after you've already done all this quote unquote real world combatives, is that your mind is already preconditioned to recognize, hey, this is BS. And when you get into positions, you're like, hey, I could take a bite here, I could take a gouge here, I could throw a punch, but you're not going to, because you're rolling. But in your mind, you're like, you recognize that you're rolling, but I could if I was here.
Well, and that's what I found myself doing, like the very fucking first time. Like so he's got me in fucking, like I've got control of his back, right? And he's like, okay, well, put a choke on me. I'm like, sure, fuck, all right, all day long, right? And he's like, all of a sudden, so he starts giving resistance and everything. And as he's giving resistance and we're moving around, I'm finding all these places where I'm like, I could just drop a fucking elbow right on this motherfucker, put him out right now, right? But it's like,
right.
But you can't, right? So I mean, it's so it's kind of nice to have that, though, because I mean, heaven forbid you go to the fucking ground and you're still conscious, because I mean, most of the times you're probably not going to be, but heaven forbid you still are conscious. It's a great way to really learn how to work and how to move your body and how to not succumb to fucking stress, because now you've got something on the fucking hard drive that's teaching you kind of where to be, what to look for, how to get the fuck, like how to move around somebody, how to manipulate them, right?
Yeah. Versus the other side, right? Like I came from a grappling background into this, and I think it's more difficult to transition the mind to, oh, this is available, I can do this, because you're so stuck at a sport mindset,
Right.
Like, that happens with my kids all the time. I talk to them all the time about stuff, and they're always like, well, you can't do that though. And I'm like, no, you can, just not at practice.
Right.
Well, and I mean, it's even like, because I'm doing the Muay Thai classes there as well. I mean, and you guys know I have a background in Muay Thai, and even though I have that background in Muay Thai and I'm still doing this here, we come in and we clinch, and immediately my fucking brain goes to fucking ECQ. Okay, what the fuck am I going to do to separate and fucking go to primary weapons? Like, am I going to bite this fucker or gouge? Like, I'm ready to rip and tear, and I'm like, I can't fucking do that. Right?
Right. But again, it's like, putting yourself into, into that situation. First, again, you're getting out of your comfort zone, which is always awesome. Right. And now, you're really not going to be, things are going to be less surprising. Right. When you're actually, with somebody who, in fact, even knows what they're doing, because to Josh's point, you're conditioned in a way to win the match.
Yeah.
Right. So like you always fall back on your, your primary skill set, where it's like, oh, I'm shooting a double, right? I'm like, okay, yeah, bang, I got him and I'm winning. But then, I'm getting my head hit with a bottle because I'm on top of this fucking guy, and his buddy is fucking, smashing the shit out of me. So, or the guy happens to sprawl and I wind up eating fucking concrete, not a fucking wrestling mat. So,
speaking of the wrestling, though, I'll tell you, I'm not a fucking idiot, right? I went and watched one of the fucking wrestling classes, and these fucking young kids, 18, 19, 20, I mean, they're just fucking throwing themselves around all over the place. I'm looking at this, I'm like, fuck this. I'm not doing wrestling. All the power to these fucking guys, man. Holy shit.
You want a gi to slow shit down.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, because you fucking wrestling, dude. Wrestling's like fucking dude. I mean, look, I did it a majority of my life. Yeah. I love Channing Tatum's quote on it. He's like, and you could say the same with jiu-jitsu, but he was just doing the shit with like wrestling, and all of them kind of, it's like, you have to kind of enjoy being uncomfortable like all the time. Like somebody just fucking, and it is so, and it's also the time of my life and the level that I got to, where it's just like, you're doing shit. Like, dude, my workout now is kind of like my warm-up ish. You know what I mean? And I'm like, my son's like, you should stretch again. I go, you're right. Like, I should, especially now. But I'm like, I stretch for like fucking, for like 30 years. You know what I mean? I mean, it's up until like fucking my mid 40s, right? So yeah, dude, more than that. So I'm like, it's like, goddamn, yeah, almost 40 years I was doing it. So there's that. And I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, it's good. Again, like I always recommend. I mean, Clayton puts like manhandling does blow most people's minds, especially since teachers can't even paddle the kids in school anymore. Yeah. It's true. Like when we would get kids, like new people in class, or new people on the wrestling mat, kids come in, you get a fucking tough dude who is a fucking tough guy, right? Never fucking wrestled before, never did judo before, never did jujitsu before, comes in and all of a sudden they're just be like, the energy comes out of them. Boom. They run out of all the fucking gas in the tank and then they're just fucking useless. And as the saying goes, fatigue makes cowards of us all, which is my favorite fucking thing, man. When you're sitting there, you're like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Dude. And dude, if you haven't been there, fuck you. You haven't pushed yourself enough. I've been there plenty of times where I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Just put me out.
You're like, right? Finish it. I need to go get a drink.
And this is the thing. Until you've rolled, even like in reality or just even in a fucking sporting environment, you don't realize how much and how fast that shit gasses you the fuck out.
Right. But that said, you'll see like in a few weeks or a month, you'll learn how to conserve energy pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Right. So, you're like, okay, I don't have to panic here. Okay. This grip, it's no big deal. Oh, that's a fucking problem. Then you'll deal with it, but you'll feel where you start getting it set up. And then if you're in a good enough club, the setups become more sophisticated and more subtle. And where it's like, dude, I know as soon as you get a tie or a grip on me, I know I'm fucking gone. Like, it's like, okay, this is happening and I'm already behind it. That's at the fucking touch.
Yeah. And when especially if they teach sequencing, right? So it's like you go from one next to the next. It's like, oh, they got my arm. I'm going to move this way. Oh, nope. I just got screwed.
Right. Right. Yeah. And you always got, and just like we do in combatives, we're training in groups of 3 and 4 and 6, right? You got to do that in sport training. If you're not drilling combinations and sequences, you're just doing one-offs. Because look, once it's like, again, action faster than reaction, right? I do one attack, right? He feels that attack. I'm already moving to my next attack. By the third attack, it should be fucking over. Right. I should win. 3 is kind of the fucking magic number.
Yeah.
So because, you can't fucking, action is faster than reaction, right? Same shit fucking applies. So speaking of which, did you guys hear anything about the hockey player Paul Bissonnette fighting those golf dudes?
No, it sounds cool though.
So this dude was he's a fucking badass hockey player. He's living in Arizona now. He's going to what the hell was it? Houston's, I think. It's a high-end chain restaurant. He goes there all the time. So apparently there were these like 6 like dudes from Ireland. They're calling them the golf gang, but easy with that. But these guys go out, they drink, they raise some hell. They were giving the manager some shit. So there's like 6 or 7 of them. This guy, Paul Bissonnette, his nickname is the Biz. Went up and started to be like, hey, what the fuck's going on here? And I'm trying to see if I could hold on, I just gotta log into my Google account. I mean my nope. Sorry. There we go. Next. All right. It's gotta log into X. Okay. All right. So there's 2 sequences to this fight. One is so he goes in to try to cool these guys out, and then apparently drops one of the guys, and then the fight goes out into the parking lot. So, look, I mean, these guys are, dare I say cliche, bunch of drunk Irish dudes, maybe redundant to my Irish friends. But yeah, so you guys see it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the shitty security footage of these guys. And this him walking over. Because these guys were giving the manager shit and being rowdy. I guess they came at him. And then bang. There goes one guy. And then it starts going outside. So these fucking portly guys all walking out. So, look at all the fucking regular people getting the fuck out. Fight's still going on inside. I getting the baby out and the kids gotta go. Okay, cops. Yeah, they gotta get there. So, okay. So now they go out in the parking lot. I've got more footage of what happens next. I don't know if this one has it, but the other one definitely does. So, okay. So that's that. Now, here's what happens when they go outside. 8%. And this is actually the more critical thing that I wanted to show. Is this it? Hold on. I think I got to sit through an ad. Oh, no, here it is. Okay. Yep. They got a free ad. There you go. Nope. I don't want that. I thought these things were taken care of. Forgive me, everybody. It's coming up. They're earning they're getting a little love from us. That's fine. Maybe they get one conversion.
From our 3 people watching.
From our 3 people. You're listening to the most unlistened podcast in the world. Congratulations. Okay. All right. Well, we saw this. There we go. This is what I want. Okay. See him coming out. Top right. Now, see how he's backing up and trying to fight these guys one-on-one? You know, shirts off.
Wait, can you pause it?
Yes.
So, do we not teach move away and they stack up? Is that not what just happened?
Exactly. Now, I want everyone to remember, listening, all 4 of you, that, whenever the threat is 1.5 times you, doesn't matter who you are, you will probably lose. Okay. To a man, this guy, I guarantee he pasted one dude inside. I guarantee he would destroy him. If this was just 2 guys, I guarantee he would fucking destroy them. So right now, there's a lot of things like pride and ego, but mission accomplished. I mean, to be quite honest, you could probably out-jog all of these guys.
That's right.
For sure. You could probably run around and attack them all from the back.
Right.
You want to talk about intent, though? Like, they followed him for a while.
Oh, yeah. And now he's in it, right? He's just like, okay, I'm gonna compete here, right?
That's one fucking bright ass bike there.
Yeah, I don't know goddamn. Okay, so they're gonna box it out. I mean, somebody should be hitting somebody, to be honest, if you're not running and escaping.
Yeah, he had plenty of opportunity to take him one at a time.
Yeah. But again, I don't think, I honestly think he's a nice guy, believe it or not. He's probably an animal on the ice, and he doesn't, he's like, taking that first step, even for, someone who is an enforcer in NHL. So here's a part, right? So now they're on him. And then they're just, then they just swarm him. Right? One guy's, wrestling him, taking him to the ground. And here's the thing, like, one of the things about multiple attackers is that, you're expending an exponential amount of energy. I think, that whole one-man army shit you see in the movies, it just doesn't fucking, it doesn't, it doesn't work. Right. I'm like,
no, even if you get a couple of good shots off, you're eventually going to get swarmed.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, if you got 1.5 guys, you got 2 guys that know what you're doing, you're fucked, with intent and who are aggressive. 3, forget it. It's just, we watch too many fucking movies. Clayton was always doing a good job staying ahead of them, even though he's going backwards. Yeah. To be honest, he just should have fucking ran the fuck out of there once they're out. Once they're out of the fucking bar,
just ran back to the pub and locked the door.
We locked the door, right? And just fucking tied his shirt on it if you didn't want to, right? I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Cops should have been on their way by then.
Yeah.
But they weren't.
Exactly.
They weren't. So, yeah, seconds count when cops are only minutes away. It's true. It's a reality of it. They can't be every place. People think they are, just call the cops. I'm like, okay, call them.
Well, and truth be told, you don't want the cops every place all the time.
No, that's a different. Yeah, that's a police state.
Yeah.
Right. Because what happens then? It's like everybody. You'll get written for every little thing because,
you
they get bored.
You can't go anywhere when the police are there.
Yeah, and they get bored too.
Yeah.
So that's what happens. Like, let's see what we can fuck with next. So, that's where you're looking at this and you're thinking, okay, professional hockey player, enforcer, tough guys, 6 overweight, drunk fucking golfers, who are, probably gotten some brawls in their time. They didn't any of them look like really like trained fighters. So, you lose and, you think you're going to win, but, we have this mentality where we're watching, movies and TV and these fucking, the karate guy or the jiu-jitsu guy, the MMA guy, just kicking the shit out of fucking everybody, watching Roadhouse,
Roadhouse.
And it's like, right. Clayton writes, yeah, state troopers. He goes, the cops, even other cops hate to see other cops in the rearview mirror. Yeah, everybody does. It's universal, man. No one wants to be told what to do. Right? No one wants to go to the principal's office. No one wants to get their homework checked. That's just how it fucking is. So, these guys are, you're faced with this shit. I'm like, you will not win. Right? What happens if, I don't know, maybe you had a can of pepper spray in your hand? Then you're like, juice them. Then they're all fucking coughing up, mucus, and you're fucking gone.
Or at the point, he had plenty of opportunity to be gone anyways. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did not have to fight. That is your ego messing with you, making you,
Yeah, there was like a lack of commitment, right? Either you have to commit to leaving or you have to commit to engaging.
Yep.
And he could not commit, and then eventually they caught up to him. He fell over.
Yeah.
But a testament to how athletic he is. He got back up and then he ran off.
Right.
Most people don't get to get up once they gang up on you.
Right. Yep. Again, he didn't really get hurt. I think maybe they checked him for a concussion. Yeah, very good point, Josh. Yeah. From Clayton. You guys can see the comments, right? Okay.
No.
You can't?
Is there a chat? Hold on, let me look at the chat thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Comments.
yeah, but I can't put it on like a separate screen though.
No, it comes on the same screen.
Yeah.
So got a couple other things, but last thing I wanted. So the U.S. Healthcare assassin you guys? So
Luigi.
yeah,
Yeah, I did read that article that you sent off.
okay. So what was the latest on it? So apparently, again, interesting the timeline on this kid. Very wealthy family. They're in healthcare. They own nursing homes. Graduates valedictorian from a $40,000 a year private school in Baltimore. Goes to University of Pennsylvania. Graduates with a PhD and a master's. He's 26 years old. Has a great job. Doing great. Yeah, he had a back surgery. And was really kind of exploring AI and psychedelics. And then at one point, I think it was, I don't know what the timeline was with regards to his back surgery, winds up, going away with friends for 3 months. Okay. Wasn't into guns, wasn't into any of that shit. Goes away for 3 months, comes back, makes, builds a firearm with a suppressor and kills the fucking head of United Healthcare. It's not like he didn't have healthcare.
Yeah.
So
the question is, where were they for 3 months? Because obviously there was an extremism process that occurred, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. And and the stock again goes up 10 points after that guy gets clipped. So yeah, who am I? But you're listening to these things, and there's like, so I don't know if you know about who Dr. Jolly West was. He was worked for this. He ran the MK Ultra project.
Okay.
Okay, so if for those of you playing at home, yeah, he got stoned and watched John Wick. So Jolly West, for those of you who don't know, there's a book Chaos, which is excellent. The guy who wrote it was supposed to be like an article. It wound up being like a 20-year-long process getting into MK Ultra and what they did with the anti-war movement and how they subversed it with psychedelics, Charles Manson, and Haight Ashbury. Like they started all that shit. They started all the fucking like cult and devil worship shit. And then what happens is, as we saw with COVID, it gets infectious. One of the fucking things I heard is a great, it's like psychology is more contagious than the flu, right? Like a mindset can like spread faster than a virus.
Yeah. I mean, look at the mob mentality.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So now, like, again, not to go with Manson, but in the book Chaos, like Manson was on parole and caught and then put in jail multiple times and then released. And when it was a direct parole violation, all the guys would be like, "Why are you being released?" They're like, "It's above my pay grade." So this guy Jolly West used to have a facility, I will say, where he would have prostitutes take in men and they would dose them with LSD, and he would watch and film what happened when the women would question them or do whatever they did with them. Yeah, like behind like two-way mirror, like two-way glass kind of shit. So Jolly West, so after Jack Ruby clipped Oswald and he was in prison, Jolly West went in to examine him and spent 7 hours in the jail with him, examining him. So Jack Ruby, when he came out, was obviously not the same. And as Clayton put, Manson was subcontracted by the CIA. Yes, he was. So Jolly West was, Ruby came out and Ruby's like, he injected me with something, there's this whole fucking thing. And he started like kind of losing his mind. All of a sudden, Jack Ruby gets cancer and dies in jail. Like literally like, a year or two later. So when you're looking at like mind manipulation and shit, and that was in the fucking 60s. Who knows what we got going on now?
Yeah.
Right. With Manchurian Candidate shit or we're programming, all that crap. I mean, this shit's been going on for literally decades, and they didn't get worse at it. And they didn't say, you know what? We're going to abandon
this program was dumb.
Exactly. Because the government always does that. The government never throws more time and money on shit, especially if they see a little fucking success.
If they see a little bit, it's going to keep going.
Yeah. Yep. So, who knows what the hell happened, because this kid did not demonstrate any antisocial behavior. He wasn't fucking, writing fucking manifestos before this. He wasn't, playing like first person shooter games. He was a fucking Ivy League PhD, that was really fit, apparently very popular, valedictorian. And then what happened?
Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be our government, right? It could be somebody else.
Right. Yeah. Who knows? I mean, you get them, you get somebody with a tendency, and then you fucking flip them.
Yeah. The other thing too is like, especially with these Ivy League schools, like somebody like him who was valedictorian and goes to school, he's earning a master's and a bachelor's at the same time, which is insane. And like, he's a straight recruit. Like, people, they're gonna come find him. They're gonna be like, "Hey, you're the kind of guy we want."
Right.
Hey, come to this retreat for 3 months.
That's right.
He comes out and killing somebody.
Right. Dude, it's very easy. It could have been, a honeypot, right? Like, girl or guy, that's like, hey, why don't you come away? You're great, and all this shit. Yeah, take some time off, whatever. Oh, by the way, a must watch, because this is kind of like the whole Kings of Tupelo on Netflix. I don't know if you remember when Ricin was sent to Obama, and there was a Republican senator from Tennessee, and then there were a judge and another state senator from Tennessee, like, early 2010s. Yeah, dude, it's on net. It's about this dude who was him and his brother were Elvis impersonators, and then he got into it with the guy who was he moved into the town. He alleged that he did some work. He was a really smart dude, for sure. Alleged he did some work, with CIA, and then, figured out, look, it's not, actually did make Ricin and send it to Obama. Like, he was trying to frame the other, he tried to frame the other guy, because they got into like the Elvis impersonator who was a knucklehead. But, he's like, they're like, so how do you, when did you learn how to make rice? And he's like, I don't eat rice. He goes, maybe when I go to a Chinese place, shit like that. And the feds are like, okay, hold on one moment, shit like that. So I don't want to blow it up, but it's a really entertaining, good watch. But it kind of brought me up to this because, the guy in the fucking, who was the CIA officer, was like, yeah, well, I got recruited when I was in the 96 Olympics for Taekwondo. And I'm like, 96 Olympic Taekwondo team? Fucking wasn't there. I'm like, looking up his fucking name. And then I'm watching him, even for like Taekwondo standards. I'm like, that's not what that looks like. You are not a fucking Olympian. And he was like an average looking karate guy. Right. And then, whether he's in the military, whether he's doing that, they don't say anything, because most of the guys, look, the guys that I know that get recruited for that kind of work, they're not office guys. Like, analysts there's no fucking Jason Bourne, right?
No. And the guys, like, it's 90% analysts and 10% of everything else.
Yeah. The guys that do like the actual work are special ops guys who get, who like either volunteer or get, I want to say the word is recruited, because no one like taps you out. Like, you're like, hey, there's an opportunity here.
Unless you have very specialized skills, that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
but I knew a guy,
like JSOC guys that do that shit.
I knew a dude who was a regular infantry guy, like nothing special.
Yeah,
and but he scored like a 5.5 on his Farsi, which is like insane.
Exactly.
No,
yes.
A 5.5. And my buddy who was in the same squad as him would say that they'd be out in the field, and all of a sudden they get a phone call and be like, "Hey, you need to come back to the office." and he just like disappear for like 3 months.
Right.
And then he'd come back and they'd be like, dude, where were you? And he'd be like, the CIA needed me to do another job. Those freaking bastards. All I want to do is do infantry stuff.
Right. I had a buddy
show up and he'd be like, gosh, dang it, not again. Can I just go shoot guns?
I had a buddy of mine I trained with who spoke Farsi, and he was in the army, and he was down in Gitmo. And he goes, I'm like, yeah, what was that like? He goes, most of these guys you can break with a Fanta and a McFish sandwich. You know, McDonald's. And he goes, and all you have to do is like speak, you know, the one guy will speak like he's like, you're in the room, you put two of them in there, and you've got the one guy speaking Farsi, and then there's me. He's like, and the guy would speak Farsi, and then he'd turn to me and speak in English. And he goes, and then the guy who spoke Farsi would leave the room, and then these guys would start talking. And he goes, and I would just shut the fuck up and listen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm like, that's like, yeah. But like the guys who do like, and I hate to use the fucking term, you know, let's just say the guys who do any operational shit are all fucking military guys, all, you know, guys who are fucking trained, and not the fucking guys. There's not a James Bond fucking guy wearing a fucking suit, analyst, that's in the fucking field doing this shit. I mean, yeah, you can, you know, you'll be in dangerous fucking areas if you're doing it, but you know, you're attached to something. You're not, you know,
yeah. And if those guys go somewhere, they have a security detail that goes with them.
Correct.
You know, like,
yeah,
the operator guys are there to help keep that guy safe.
Right. Exactly. You know, the one guy was telling a story like how, like, you know, one of these, you know, agents or officers, sorry, they're officers. One of these officers was like, and this is from like a podcast I was listening to, not one of my buddies. But like, you know, there was somebody who wanted to get a cake for this one asset's birthday, and didn't go, you know, and bypass all the fucking security. And then that fucking person who was bringing the cake in wound up, you know, blowing everybody up. You know, it's like that kind of shit. He goes, that shit would happen. You know, it would happen. So, you know, you're like, you know, these guys that are like, you know, out there, I'm a CIA officer and I do the whatever. I'm like, dude, they didn't do any fucking type of work like that whatsoever fucking ever.
No, most of the guys I know that do that kind, quote unquote kind of stuff, if they're the one in the dangerous situation, they messed up. The whole point is to recruit unsuspecting people or people that are really cheap to then do all that dangerous stuff so you don't have to, and bring you the information. Yeah,
exactly. And those are guys I, you know, yeah, that, you know, again, all, you know, guys who are fucking military trained, you know, with that do all the operational shit. You know, so, you know, whenever you're like, you know, I got recruited by the CIA, they don't fucking do that. Yeah, to fucking get in the CIA, you have to, you know, apply, you know, and like go through a fucking, you know, rigorous, you know, testing process.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, if you're like a tier 1 operator, you're going to do operations with and for them anyways.
Correct.
And then they're like, hey, your contract's expiring in the military. You want to come work for us? That's how you get.
Right. Or they just use paramilitary, right? I mean, that is just what the fuck it is. It's like, okay, how much? Okay, here you go. You fucking go. Just have your guys here now.
Like,
you know,
like a BlackRock and Triple Canopy and Executive Decision.
Right. Yeah. You know, I just, you know, the fucking movie after movie about fucking people. And then you're like looking at this shit where these guys are like, oh, like, well, we do it. People fucking don't know. And you're like, no, that guy didn't do any of that. That guy can't fight his way out of a fucking paper bag, or he taught himself this shit, or he went and trained with it. Maybe went and trained with a guy who fucking like the rest of us, right? You know, you're like, yeah. But you know, if like you're like in this fucking, you know, if you're an officer, you know, you're doing, you know, agent, you know, shit. You know what I mean? I mean, you're just like collecting information, collecting data. And then if there's like grunt work that needs to be done, you got the fucking dudes like, okay, we need a team here for this and blah, 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 blah. You know, so yeah. So yeah, and that's like Clayton said, that's exactly how they do it, you know, tier 1 guys only. I mean, yeah, a lot of times that's it. So all right, guys. Oh, good. That went fast. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. What do you guys got going on this weekend?
Well, I got a buddy's work Christmas party Friday night, so
Oh, nice.
Getting all festive and shit.
I got 2 Christmas parties, one on Friday and one on Saturday. But I've also got in the works some self-defense instruction coming up. So
let's go.
Very nice.
Where are you doing that?
What's that?
What is that? Private or seminar or?
They haven't decided what they want to do yet. They reached out to me. It was like 11 o'clock at night, and I was like, "Let's talk about this later."
Right.
And so I sent them. They were looking for some. It was a friend of mine, and she's got other friends who are like really interested. And she was like, "Well, I've got a buddy who does it." And so so I was like, send them all the details, and they're just waiting to make decisions on what they want to do.
Nice.
Yeah. So Clayton's got a concealed weapons class tomorrow night.
Nice.
Saturday. I'm like blackjack in that. So we'll do straight weight. Okay, we'll get your straight razors out. All right, here we go. So good luck with that, Clayton. I don't think I got shit. I'm like launching new freaking ad campaigns and worried about.
Yeah, I'm seeing them.
Yes.
Yeah, worried about my UTM links because they were like, so then finally, I think we just fixed that issue now. They're less than a day live, but this is like, holy shit, that happens and shit like that. So Stefano's got nothing planned for the weekend, but we'll complete a run and spend some time on the heavy bags. Hoorah, Stefano. Awesome to hear. Okay, everybody. So thank you for joining us. I'm glad you took the time. And then, train hard, fight easy. Love it, Stefano. And thank you for listening to the most unlistened podcast on the interwebs.
Hey, I will say, since we got consistent, we went from like 2 to like 4 or 5. So
yeah, that's right. We got to be careful, or we might become like the second most unlistened to.
Right, don't want to do that. But we're on for next week. The following week we'll be off, and then we'll be back for the next year. So look for us next week, everybody. Until next time, train honestly.